Hi friends, how are you? Welcome back to another live conversation. We have these opportunities because every week I show up and I answer questions, but this week we're going to be focusing on a topic. It's something that I hear quite often from a lot of people. It's like, Jasmine, I have a lot of competition. My market is really saturated. Jasmine, there's so many people who are doing what I do. To that I say, let's have a conversation on what it means on how to stick out in a saturated market. So every single one of us is not the only person doing what we do. I had a photography business. I started my career as a photographer. I quickly knew there were a lot of other photographers doing what I do. Now, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with a friend, and her name is Jara, and we were having this conversation. I said, yes, but Jara, you know, when I was a photographer, people were hiring me based on who I was, as well as the quality of work that I produced. To which she replied, that's true, Jasmine, but can I take it one step farther? And I said, yes. She said, I used to be a SoulCycle instructor in New York City. And she's like, you could literally have the same workout studio with the same stationary bikes. You could set up the same lighting show, because SoulCycle, they're all about the lights and the vibe. She's like, you can bring in the same candles and you could have the same playlist. And each of those two instructors, it could be everything the same, but people are going to choose a class based on an instructor. They're going to find a connection to one person over the other. And that simple thought was just like the finality of, sure, I can talk about being ultra creative and us believing that our work is why people hire us. And maybe perhaps that is a bit true. But at the end of the day, what I come to know and what I stand on is, regardless of how saturated your market is, regardless of how many people are in your market, you have to know that you're going to have to do something to differentiate yourself. And the best part is that it doesn't have to be hard and we don't have to make it complicated. But you really have to answer, why should someone follow you? Why would somebody buy from you? Why would somebody want to connect with you? And why would people want to consume your content? When we think about these things, we have to really ask ourselves, if we don't know why, we're gonna have a hard time showing that off. But what would it look like for us to make it as easy as possible, right? We need to give people a reason. We need to give people a way to connect with us. And I have really good news, is that regardless if you are a photographer, I'm not gonna tell you your photos need to get better. If you are a fitness instructor, I'm not gonna tell you you need to have a better cycle routine. If you're a graphic designer, I'm not going to tell you to enhance your logos or your typography. What I'm going to do is empower you to show off the one thing that you have that nobody else has, and that is you. And this is going to be the simplest thing that we can do, and yet oftentimes the most complicated, because we are often second guessing ourselves, like, what should I do? What should I say? Who should I be? And my answer to that is, it's just you. Just be you. Talk about the things that you do, talk about the things that you like, talk about the things that you dislike. And as much as you want to maybe push back and say, no, Jasmine, that's really not the case. Like, nobody cares that I like this show or drink this drink or spend my weekends this way. No, Jasmine, they don't care. And I am here to tell you that the key differentiation when it comes to business is you. And I know that it's going to take a little bit of a way for us to like shift the way that this feels, but let me just save you years of time and consumption and worry. And let me tell you that you are your brand. You are the reason why somebody is going to buy. Because at the end of the day, there is a really good chance, I'm just gonna be honest, there is a really good chance that I could buy this dress from one of 1,000 stores. I know that I did not buy a one-of-a-kind dress from some random seamstress, but why did I choose to buy this dress from a particular store? The affinity that I have for the store. Why, when I'm shopping on Instagram, do I swipe up and use somebody's affiliate link to buy something? Because I have an affinity towards the person. Why, when I'm looking for a hairstylist, when I am looking for a makeup artist, when I am looking for an instructor, when I am looking for a class, am I choosing to invest in one versus the other? A lot of it has to go with the affinity that I have for the creator, not just the creation. People will drive farther, they will spend more, they will wait longer to get something when they feel an affinity, when they feel a connection to who creates it. So, I understand that right about at this time, people say, but Jasmine, my life is not that interesting, AKA it's not Instagrammable. Like I literally sit at a laptop all day, it's not a lot of fun. To which I would reply, it doesn't need to be. Nobody is asking you to be beautiful, special, rich, funny, witty, amazing. You do not need to have a private jet to make your life look or feel, so fic, interesting. What we need to really do and focus on is think about what people are doing on the internet. Like when you're not in with your business hat on, as you are scrolling your favorite social platform, just think about it. Like literally think about it. You're on your couch, you're on a futon, you're on a beanbag, you're on a rocking chair, putting your newborn to sleep. Think about the pattern and how inclined do you feel that when you come across the Explore page or when you're on your feed, how inclined are you to watch somebody do something that's highly social? I can remember this time last year, there was all the rage to be making a particular type of coffee. People would get like, I don't even know, like whipped cream and like cinnamon and sugar and then freeze it. And then they would like whip it. They would like whip it good, whip it. Okay, they would actually whip this whipped cream or something and they would put dollops on top of their coffee. It didn't matter how many times I saw that video. I wanted to see it done by different people to see if they got the same results. We are constantly being drawn to things that are interesting, things that are personal, and then they hold a reflection. And in this particular case, would I be the kind of person to whip my whipping? Would I be the kind of would I be the person who would whip anything and take the time to do it and put it in my coffee? Probably not, but I would watch people do it again and again. It was interesting and it was educational and I wanted to know the outcome. That's what works on social. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and then there is an end. Now, let's just juxtapose that into how many times do you find yourself clicking through or swiping past something you know is distinctly an ad? How many times like, as you're watching something, it's like distinctly, oh, this person's selling me something, I don't even want to pay attention to it. So if we think about your behavior, let me tell you, that's the vast majority behavior, is when people think that they're being sold to, AKA when all you want to do is talk about your business and why people should buy it. No, I get it. Your business is freaking awesome. You're great. You're talented. The world needs what you create. I get it. But not everybody wants to hear about the amazingness, awesomeness that they need to buy and have in their life. So what am I actually saying? Is that in order for people to pay attention to when you want to promote or sell your items, they must first become engaged with you as a human. Now, just in case anybody here is just like, I'm not sure, let's come down and define it as personal content is sticky content. It makes somebody want to watch it again and again. And with the advent, with this massive growth on TikTok, with this massive growth on people consuming reels, it's because it's a personal element of something that's professional. It's a personal element that's not perfect, but it's quick, it's to the point, it gets beginning, middle, and end. So what we highly encourage on the inside of Social Curator is to come up with 7 categories that you find yourself talking about. And the number one we always start with is about me. Now, I get it. It pushes people the wrong way. In fact, last week, on the inside of a group, I saw a post come up and said, oh, I'm sorry, I came to Social Curator and I was looking for sales captions. These are all talking about me. And I'm like, yeah, they are talking about you. And so when I did a little bit of homework and I dug into what she did, she's actually a music instructor, specifically a guitar instructor, which means that she's going to likely have a local based business because she wants to give guitar lessons. And what she wanted were captions about booking a guitar lesson and what I needed to go through and do a better job as an educator, as a coach, as a CEO, and say the way that you get people to book you is to showcase who you are. Because at the end of the day, there is a mom, there is a dad, and there is a student who can watch a free guitar lesson on YouTube. So why would they book you? The way that you teach could be better, may be better, or may not be better. So why would somebody pay you when they can get something for free coming to them and stream it? Why would they go out of their way to get you and pay you in a way that may not be the best for them? They like you. And there's an affinity to how you teach them or their child. Now, what I want to do is just give an example. And the examples that I'm going to roll out are simply on the back of these people gave their followers a reason to connect with them. And my invite to you is to give you a reason. You must give your followers a reason for them to connect with you, a reason to talk back with you. So let's look at this example. So here's what your audience wants. Your audience, I promise you, if they have subscribed to your YouTube channel, if they had followed you on TikTok, if they liked your Facebook page, if they're following you on Instagram, let me tell you one thing. They want to connect with you. Period, the end. So we must first believe that if they've decided to follow or subscribe, they want to connect with us. But then what they don't want is to be sold to. But you're like, no, Jasmine, I want to use social media for sales. I want to get more customers. Cool. But you do not get sales until you have shown up and talked about you, what makes your business special, why you do what it is you do, show behind the scenes of your work, get testimonials, give people the benefit of why it is what they do, give tutorials, share tips. That is why if you are not getting sales on social media, friends, it's because you haven't done the work on the front end to showcase who you are. Okay, our videographer, I'm throwing you for a loop there, He's stuck with me. Okay, so some of my most engaging posts are not posts where I talk about business. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Do you want to know, this is not even on my notes. Do you want to know the number one question I get asked in my direct messages and in my personal messages? It's not about business. It's not about building a team. It's not about marketing. It's not even about social media. The number one question I get asked every single week is what curling iron I use. Do you want to know? Like, I'm flattered and I'm freaking annoyed. Like, I put out all of this content. I work with this team and we brainstorm, how can we give you delivering amazing content? And people are like, what size barrel is that? And I'm like, why? And yet I understand that if I respond to that direct message and if I have the capacity to respond to that comment, what I am doing is connecting, which is precisely the thing that all of our followers want. So if we know our followers want that, and here you're going to be looking at an example of a somewhat recent Facebook post that has hundreds and hundreds of comments and got shared so many times. It's not about business. It's about humanity. It's about connection. This is another post where I'm talking about the balance between what it means to be an entrepreneur and a mother. And I was a mother to my puppy before I was a mother to my daughter, and the balance of why it is I do what I do. And that got so much more engagement. Now, I know that there's not just like on one social platform. Like, engagement from personal things just does not exist only on Facebook, because Facebook is X. You can fill in whatever you think or have perceptions about Facebook. It also exists on every other social platform. And I am also talking about LinkedIn. Personal content, my personal content on LinkedIn performs better than a lot of times the business content. But here is an example of a recent Instagram reel that I had posted when on the back of truly, I think we've almost maybe busted over 100 reels, excuse me. I'm pretty sure we've busted over 100 reels, and over 100 reels, the ones that consistently overperform out of all of the business advice that I give and the 3 things to not do on Instagram and the 4 affirmations that you really need to hear, all of those, like, here I am with my husband doing a 6-second video, talking about my woes, W-O-E-S, my woes. What was the acronym for? The person who knows the acronym for woe right now in the comment will get a $20 gift card to Amazon. Okay, I actually had to Google it because your girl, I know I grew up hood, but like the hood kind of just kept on advancing. I was like, I don't even know what woes are. Can some of the millennials tell me what the woes are? Okay. Anyway, this reel overperformed and indexed. Here is a photo, and it's not just a particular type of content. It's not just reels or over-indexing. When I post a personal photo or I talk about things that like light me up or things that I do, again, higher engagement than a lot of the other business-driven content. Now, the more of you that you share, it will only do one of 2 things, and I am here for it. Your content should only, I'm going to put a stake in the ground and be very honest with you. Your content should only attract or repel. I don't need your content to come in and kind of float in the middle and people are like, I want somebody to look at it and be like, yeah, or no. When somebody makes enough of an opinion about it being a no, there are a group of people who look at it and say, that is a hell yes. I want people looking at your post and either say hell yes or hell no. That is what drives content and get people to talk to you and talk about you. So the more that you share, the more opportunities that you're going to be giving your audience to connect with you, which is why I am a huge advocate of posting as much as you can. And if you're watching this and you're like, I really want to grow on Facebook, great. Are you posting on Facebook every day? Are you putting out content in Facebook groups? Jasmine, I really want Instagram to be my next platform. Great. Are you posting on Instagram every day? Because where you put your efforts, where you sow your seeds is where you will get your harvest. So the more content you put out, the more opportunities you're giving somebody to connect with you. Now, again, got this post on the inside of Social Curator, and yes, I read every single one of those posts from our community. It is a private community, so I want to go deep with business owners so that we're giving tactical advice, and every so often I can get somebody to give a cosign. I can get somebody to say amen in the back of the church, because Susanna, who is a food blogger, she's actually a food and lifestyle blogger, excuse me. She actually was talking about how it was so uncomfortable for her to show up personally because what she wanted to do was hide, but she wouldn't say hide, but to stand behind her recipes, was to stand behind some of the things that she was putting out. And so she's like, I put out this post, and guess what, guys? Jasmine and Social Curator is actually right. People care about us. People care about the personalities. People care about the minutia. Here's an example of a reel that Susanna put out that did extraordinarily well, and it didn't have to do with her business. This reel is about 4 to 5 seconds. It showcased her and her husband. And at the time of this recording, that reel has 2.4 million views. She started. Ohs and woes. Okay, so this is part 2 after a little bit of technical difficulty. In part 1, I did make a reference to woes, shout out to Drake, and for the people who made a mention. So WOE, working on excellence. And that today is what we're doing. We're working on excellence. I would say we're excellent because we had some technical difficulties, but we're working on excellence. So if you missed part 1, it will be the video preceding this video. I'm not going to repeat it again because I ain't got time for that. I'm going to give you a brief recap. We were talking about being you, showcasing you, that people are buying the creation and the creator. So what are you doing to highlight your creative process, what you do behind the scenes, the benefits of what you do, what do you prefer to do? So as a recap, about me. People want to know about you. And I laid a case and gave examples, both personal and otherwise, of people who were successfully and uncomfortably sharing about them to get business results, even if what they were talking about personally didn't relate to their business. Now, when we talk about this category of about me, it's just one of 7 Social Curator categories that we have been knowing and working on to prove engagement. And engagement is what leads to trust, and trust leads to conversations, and conversations lead to conversions. If we know that getting people to talk back to us and getting them to be inclined to buy from us does result in the thing that we ultimately want, what would it look like for us to show up with a strategy? Now, we know that it's not always going to look a certain way for every single person, but what we also know is that we want you to show up strategically, and so we're going to be giving you for free a content planner. I know I just spent all this time laying the framework for how you can show up and talk to people about what it is you do and your business, but sometimes it's hard to plan for that content. You can go to socialcurator.com/content planner. There you will find 7 ways to post for 7 days. Yes, we're going to give you the framework, a key to a lock that will empower you to show up online. Now, what we were doing in the previous live session and in this video is we're going to be working on Q&A. So why don't we dive into that right about now? If you have questions, you can leave them here. This is clearly a little bit of a short run for this video, but I know that there's lots of questions that are coming in. So I will start there. Okay, so we'll go in from Susan. My niche is micro and small business owners, which I consider is too wide. Well, Susan, The good news is that it appears that you answered your own question. You said, I think my niche is too wide. Great. What would it look like for you to hone that in? In fact, if you go to jasminestar.com/ideal client, we'll drop that link in the chat. You can go in and learn how to make your niche even smaller. So if you are focusing on micro and niche businesses, Susan, I would heavily recommend for you to pick a gender, an age, a demographic, geographic considerations. Is this person a parent? Are they not? Are they educated? Do they commute to work? How do they commute to work? How long is the commute? What do they do on the weekends? What do they watch on TV? What movies do they watch? Do they buy magazines or do they do digital? When you know who you are marketing to, your efforts become that much more effective. Question, why would someone want to know about me and not just my business on social media? Well, there's a good chance that you don't sell anything proprietary. If you are not a scientist, or if you're not a formulator, there's a really good chance that what you sell, thousands of other people sell. If you're a videographer, if you're a dog walker, a jewelry maker, if you are a baker, if you are a candlestick maker, if you're a photographer, if you're a life coach, business coach, relationship coach, mom coach, fitness coach, other people sell what you do. So if you don't think that people care about what you sell as much as who you are, I'm going to tell you, why don't you at least, at minimum, try to test what I'm proposing to you and just watch and see. In fact, I will tell you that a lot of the questions I get during these live classes are, but Jasmine, why is it that when I post a picture of myself or my family, or if I post a selfie, it does better than any of my other posts? And I'm like, because people care. They care about the artist as much as the art, the creator as much as the creation. They care about the business as much as they care about the business owner. And if you don't believe me, please test the theory. How do I know what balance of personal and business posts to do? Your audience will let you know, but I will tell you that I really love like a 4-to-1. 4 gives, right, information, and actually, I practice what I preach. If you were to go to any of my social profiles, on Facebook, it's Jasmine Star. Instagram, it's Jasmine Star. On TikTok, it's official Jasmine Star. If we were to be looking at the content that I'm sharing, I want to make sure that I'm putting out helpful content for them and a mix of personal. Around 80% of the content I'm sharing is teaching my followers something, empowering my followers with something, and showcasing a little bit of who I am. 80% of that content. 20% of my content is going in and talking specifically about what my business does. Now, if we did not have technical difficulties in this class, if we did not have to go to part 1 and part 2, you would have seen that 80% of what I taught was no strings attached. It's all about you. Go and do what we're asking you to do. And then we have about 5% of inviting people. If you need help, if you'd like to go deeper, if you want to work with us closely, 5% would be a clear ask to download one of our free content. socialcurator.com/content planner. Now, the rest of the content, 15% of the content, because I'm a mathematician, would be Q&A, which again is a value add to the audience. We want to over-index giving helpful, empowering, personal information, and then every so often sprinkling in business advice. Carrie Collins, how do you deal with copycats? It's so aggravating. Carrie, nothing is new under the sun. And I know that that probably doesn't feel good hearing. But just because you went to a particular location or had a particular pose or had a particular recipe or said something in a particular way and you wore it with a particular outfit and you pointed to things in a particular way and they used your particular song, and as you spun with a mop, they used that very spun and mop. Nothing is new under the sun. And you could waste time looking at other people copying you, or you could just, with the same amount of energy, saying, dang, what I'm doing is that good that it's empowering somebody else to do what I've already done. Now catch the key word there. They're doing something I've already done. They're behind you for a reason. Carrie, keep creating so people continue to copy you so that you stay ahead of the game. Okay, let's dive into Ida Jackson. How do you add a presentation and a picture of you when you go live? I would love to see a tutorial on how to brand your Facebook Live. You can go to jasminestar.com/ FB Live. There we walk you through. In the past and in this demo, when I'm doing it by myself with my laptop, I use a third-party application called Wirecast. At this point in time, we are using something called Ecamm. So there you all go. We're here to help. Now, a question, what if I don't want to share about my friends or family on my account for privacy reasons? No problem. Please don't do anything that you are uncomfortable with. But I have to let you know that you can share things about you that do not betray or reveal anything else in your life. You can absolutely talk about things that you feel safe. How you spend your weekends, you do not have to explain with whom, what you like to eat, what you like to drink, what kind of shows you prefer, how do you get inspired, where do you get your work, why is it that you do what you do, the benefits that you're empowering your clients to find, testimonials from people talking about what it is that you do, stories from your childhood that impacted the way that you grew up without having to say about anybody who actually got you to that point. What kind of experiences that transformed the outlook that you had in your life that made you choose one reason or another? Or perhaps you could talk about, oh, I thought I was gonna do this one thing in my life and then did you guys catch that spit? Because I am talking so fast. I am spitting the truth. So we can sit here and we can find excuses as to why we won't show up, or we could sit here and we could talk about the reasons why we will. Question, is it a good idea to collaborate with those in your same market? I think that there's always more good to a collaboration if the objectives are clearly identified. Should you collaborate with people in your industry? Yes. Should you collaborate with people outside of your industry? Yes, as long as the objectives are outlined. What do you want to get? What do they want to get? Is it amicable? Great, then go in, collaborate, and create wins for all of your followers and customers. Kara, I make natural soap and skincare for those people with autoimmunity, but my message isn't getting through to them. Would longer videos be better than short content? Kara, we don't know until we try. That's it. So just like you, Kara, I'm practicing what I preach. I don't know if this video, part 2, due to technical difficulties in part 1, will actually get to the target audience. I'm actually not selling anything, Kara. I want to share a message that people can plan their content. socialcurator.com/content planner. I am not sure if this is going to get to where our people are going to be, but I'm going to try. And the more I try, and the more I test, and the more I iterate, and the more that I use engagement, likes, comments, shares, it will empower me to make a next decision to further hone in what that test is. So Kara, we don't know until we test, so this is my invite to you. Try the long video and see what happens as a result. Okay, so there's a few questions that are coming in, but I just want to take a second, and I know that the team is working behind the scenes, and I know that you perhaps showed up for part 2 of this, and I want to say thank you. We are going to be working on things on our end, fully understanding that there's no such thing as perfect, and I'm actually happy that we documented a pretty massive tech mistake on our end, because we're going to look back on this day and say, how did we act? How did we behave? And what did we learn? For every mistake that we approach in life and business, how great would it be for us to approach it the same way? How did we act? How did we behave? How did we respond? What did we learn? We learned a heck of a lot today, and it's going to make us better for future iterations. If you happen to find part 1 or part 2 helpful, leave a note. Your comment means the world to us, and it empowers us to move in a better direction. Again, to plan your content for the week, because I'm going to be showing up next week the way that we always do, creating these live videos for you. socialcurator.com/content planner. Friends, I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you 1,000 times over. Bye, y'all.